Hello everyone, welcome to another video, and today I'm going to be talking about Demolition um, being inducted eventually into the WWE Hall of Fame, hopefully in the very near future. These guys are a classic tag team and they have definitely paid their dues, and let's just hope by 2025 next year that Triple H makes the decision of putting them in the Hall of Fame, and it is long overdue. These guys should be in there, for all they've done, all their contributions to wrestling. So back in the year 1987, the original Demolition was known as Axe and Smash. Axe, of course, um, portrayed by a gentleman by the name of Bill Eadie, and Smash was portrayed by a gentleman by the name of Randy Colley, I believe. And he's formally known as one half of the tag teams, the Moondogs, but he was eventually replaced by Barry Darsow at some point in early 1987. And there were your two characters right there, Axe and Smash, Demolition. And they were originally managed by Luscious Johnny V, but at some point, Mr. Fuji took over the managerial duties and he became the manager of Axe and Smash Demolition. And man, these guys were so intimidating towards their opponents. Just the look, the painted face, the spike medals, the leather that they wore to the ring. They were just intimidating at all counts, and struck fear into the hearts of their opponents. And it didn't take long for Demolition to get over. Probably about a year and change later, they would end up winning the WWF Tag Team Championships from Tito Santana and Rick Martel, known as Strike Force. This would happen at WrestleMania 4 when they captured the gold, and then they went on to hold the gold for quite some time. They ended up feuding with the Warlord and the Barbarian, the Powers of Pain. And on that infamous night at the Survivor Series, we saw Mr. Fuji turn on Demolition and join forces with the Powers of Pain. It was one of the rare times where we saw that double turn. And I always refer to this as the original screw job before Montreal ever happened, which took place 9 years later, but that's another story. Anyway, with the betrayal by Mr. Fuji, we saw Axe and Smash become fan favorites. And yeah, well, when they slammed Fuji on that concrete floor at the Survivor Series in 1988, that place popped crazy. And then they went on to become full-fledged baby faces going forward. And then from there, they would feud with the Powers of Pain and Mr. Fuji, and they would defeat those three in a handicap tag team championship match at WrestleMania 5 in Atlantic City, where they hit their finisher on Mr. Fuji, the Demolition Decapitator off the top rope onto Fuji, and they got the pin on Fuji and they won the match. Then a little setback took place in the year of 1989, as we saw on an episode of Saturday Night's Main Event. They would drop the tag team championship to Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson, the Brainbusters, and lose the championship after man, I think it was Andre the Giant got in the ring when Axe had, I believe, when Smash had Tully covered. I think it was Smash, and Andre just took that chair and he just boom walloped Axe right on the top of the head. It just hurt to watch that. He just grabbed the chair and he just boom just walloped Axe on the top of the Smash on the top of the head, knocking him out cold. But you fast forward a couple of months later, I think it was in October, they would win back the tag team championship from the Brainbusters on a random episode of WWF Superstars, and they would become two-time tag team champions. During this time, also, I believe they ended up feuding with the Big Boss Man and Akeem on several house shows. Nothing else really came out of this matchup, except, well, Demolition coming out the victors, but it wasn't really a prolonged feud or anything like that. But yeah, I think I probably saw one match with Demolition against the Twin Towers, Bossman and Akeem, and it was what it was. It was nothing along the makings of a classic or anything, but it was just, yeah, it was what it was, you know? Yeah, but anyhow, you fast forward to the Survivor Series. Demolition joins Jake the Snake and Hulk Hogan on the Hulkamaniac Survivor Series team. And they would go up against the $1 Million team consisting of the Powers of Pain, Zeus, and the team captain, the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. And boy, this match was amazing. Demolition ended up getting eliminated by the Powers of Pain. I'm surprised they did, because at that point, that rivalry was already over. But I guess it was just to, get a little bit of focus on Warlord and Barbarian since they were going singles. I guess they wanted to make them look strong somewhat and not having them pinned in the match and eventually being disqualified. All of DiBiase's team were disqualified, just so you know, in that matchup. And yeah, then Hulk Hogan ended up pinning DiBiase and becoming the sole survivor for the Hulkamaniacs. So the Hulkamaniacs team, which Demolition were on, did actually win that match. And then just a few weeks later, on an episode of Superstars, we would see Andre the Giant and Haku challenge Demolition for the Tag Team Championship. And Andre and Haku would defeat Demolition and capture the titles. So Andre and Haku would capture the championships, and then they would go on to feud with Demolition on several house shows, eventually culminating in a match at WrestleMania 6 in the Sky Dome in Toronto, Canada. And wow, the pop for this place was crazy. For this match was crazy. At this point, Andre was having a lot of health issues, and it was limited what he could do in the ring. And yeah, Haku did most of the work in the ring in these tag matches against Demolition, but in the end, we saw a miscommunication by Andre and Haku when Andre held Axe so Haku could deliver a super kick and miss, and it nailed It nailed Andre right in the face, tying him up in the ropes. And then eventually Demolition would hit their finisher on Haku, elbow off the top, and get the pin with the Demolition Decapitator. After the match, oh, and by the way, this is the first ever three-peat championship win in WWE history, as Gorilla Monsoon first mentioned that word, three-peat, on the commentary. Demolition first ever became three-time WWF Tag Team Champions in history. First ever in history. First ever three-time Tag Team Champions. And then afterwards, we saw Bobby the Brain Heenan get in Andre's face, poked at him in the chest like this, then eventually, boom, slapped him. Which got Andre enraged. And Andre just grabbed Heenan by the collar, backed him up into a corner, and Andre paintbrushed him and punched him and kicked him. And yeah, so he just beat the tar out of Heenan there. And then Andre just went back to the locker room. He kicked Haku, and Bobby, who were trying to get on the little ring cart, but he wouldn't let them get on the ring cart. And then Andre left that Toronto Skydome to a tremendous ovation. It will be the last ever match in the WWF that Andre would ever have. And it came after this matchup and that tag team title defense with Demolition. Later on down the road, Demolition would turn heel in that summer of 1990 with the introduction of a third member of Demolition known as Crush. And wow, they were hated. They even got their classic theme song changed. The theme song we all know and love. Here comes the axe, here comes the smasher with demolition. That song was gone. And we got some kind of like slow, kind of intimidating, kind of street vice like, kind of beat down, street thuggish kind of theme. Slow, a slow run kind of theme. Anyway, we would see Demolition defend the tag titles against Shawn Michaels and Mari Janae, the Rockers, on an episode of Saturday Night's Main Event in July 1990, where they would use shenanigans where Axe would come in and interfere behind the referee's back, while the other two Demolition were the working competitors in the ring, and the referee did not see that action. And going into SummerSlam of 1990, that's when we had the Hart Foundation challenge Demolition for the Tag Team Championship. And oh my God, what a matchup. One of my favorite, probably my favorite Demolition match ever that I've ever seen. And in that one, we saw the Hart Foundation defeat Demolition in a solid 2 out of 3 falls match. This came after Axe came in illegally and hid underneath the ring and was able to do a switch when the referee wasn't looking and continue to beat down Bret Hart. And this was all blind to the referee. He didn't know what was going on. And then, what a rush. Hawk and Animal, the Legion of Doom, came down and they interjected themselves. They pulled Axe out of the ring. And then Crush was in the ring and he was there. Bret Hart was standing behind him. And then Jim the Anvil Neidhart did a slingshot shoulder block onto Crush. And Bret Hart rolled him up with a roll-up for a 1, 2, 3. Boom! And the whole Philadelphia Spectrum exploded. And the Hart Foundation won the Tag Team Championship for a second time, defeating this newly formed trio of Axe, Smash, and Crush Demolition. And then after SummerSlam, you would see the Ultimate Warrior team with the Legion of Doom to take on Axe, Smash, and Crush in several tag team matches at various house shows. I remember they had one really, really good 6-man tag in Madison Square Garden the following month that I saw and that I'm a big, big fan of. I just love that match. One of the best 6-man tags I ever seen. That's probably my second best Demolition match that I love. And Demolition always came out in the losing end of those matches. And yeah, that's about it. And yeah, after their feud with the LOD, the Demolition team kind of went downhill from there. Bill Eadie, aka Axe, was also having several health problems, and therefore he decided to step away from the ring, bringing it down to Smash and Crush. So now you were back to 2 members of Demolition, however, not the original. Fast forward later on at WrestleMania 7 in March of 91, Axe and Smash would lose to 2 Japanese wrestlers by the name of Tenryu and Katao. I never heard of these guys before. That was the first time I see them. But Tenryu, over the years, got to learn a little bit about who he was and what he brought to the table. One of the most popular wrestlers in all of Japan. And yeah, Demolition, they lost this match in like 4 minutes. I mean, it was nothing special. So pretty much that was the end of Demolition in the WWF after that. And we would see Smash by himself wrestle a few singles matches on house shows. I remember he had a really, really good match against Ricky Steamboat at the Garden, I think a couple of months after WrestleMania 7. There was another match that he had against the Ultimate Warrior on WWF Superstars. Warrior came out on that one, and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat won that match also that I just mentioned. And yeah, that was pretty much it. After that, that was pretty much it for Demolition. But the whole point of this video is Axe and Smash and Crush. You know, Crush did bring stuff to the table too. Mr. Fuji's already in the Hall of Fame, so you know, you already know. So he won't be included. But Axe, Smash, and Crush. They need to be in the WWF Hall of Fame and be recognized for their work as one of the most badass, one of the most intimidating teams in all of the WWF. And it really, really meant something. You felt the fear and you felt the intimidation when Axe, Smash, and Crush all came to the ring and they stepped in that ring. They struck fear into the hearts of their opponents and as well as the fans. They were that good. When they were heels, they were hated. When they were when they were faces, they were loved by all of the fans. So let's just hope that this coming year, Hall of Fame 2025, Triple H does the right thing and he gets all three members of Demolition, Axe, Smash, and Crush, into the WWE Hall of Fame. And the honor, I think, is long, long overdue.